Okay, are we recording? Hope not, because I am not ready. Let's ruin some takes, shall we? Let's do it. It's confession time. Breathe in and breathe out.
Honestly, I bet those LinkedIn bros are shaking right now. They're like, oh my God, this doesn't belong. Well, you know what? This is what the people want, so shut up.
And we're live. Okay. Energy check?
I'm a 10. And not
God.
just in terms of who I am.
You are a 10, but energy level's at 10 today?
Yes.
Oh my God, this is the perfect
What
way
about
to start
you?
the podcast. I'm like a 9.
Yeah, I'll get you there.
It's just like the best for me.
Yeah.
We're going to get 10 is a bit much.
No, we'll get to 10.
Let's see, by the
Yeah.
end of this, hopefully. Hello, I'm Penny, the content lead here at Content 2.
And I'm Nike, content marketeer at Content 2.
And this is Permission to Rant.
All right, guys. So I feel like we need to do a little
As always,
meditation moment.
cleanse the energy.
Yes. Okay.
Breathe in. And out.
I released the blog posts that no longer serve me.
The algorithm does not define me.
We are not a content hoarding household.
That's right. I feel better. Energy is cleansed.
Honestly, same.
Okay.
Also, your KPIs do not define you.
They never
Once
do.
again. Okay, so
Do-do-do.
this week in marketing, the algorithm has once again chosen violence. Marketers everywhere are asking, why is the algorithm my enemy? Is it an enemies to lovers arc? Well, I sure do hope so. Let's get down to it. Okay, but seriously though. So a new update drops, and of course, suddenly your website is going to hell. In a few nice words. So are we failures? Are we supposed to be crying? Like, is this the end of time? Please help us, Penny.
Okay, first of all, deep breaths. Girl, chill. Stay with me, okay? A drop in traffic happens all the time. Algorithms, the algorithming, things are changing a lot. And yes, it can be a little moment of panic, especially if we're tied to performance over impact. But fun fact, I used to also feel the same way when it came to like dips in traffic performance. There's like an algorithm update like there was last year. A lot of people lose a lot of website traffic and a lot of us are like scrambling like, what's the procedure? What am I supposed to
I mean,
do?
it's scary. You're like, what did I do wrong? Is this me? Am I the problem? And
Yeah.
actually, maybe you didn't even do anything. And the algorithm is just being annoying.
Yeah, it just changes the rules of the game without us really like knowing ever what the rules were in the first place.
Yeah.
And then by the time we feel like we've learned those, switch it up. And now even like AI SEO is now completely came and just took in a hammer to all the things that we thought we had to do in terms of SEO.
Constantly changing also, because like what you knew last year is already like, actually there's updates and you need to know even more now.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the game that we're in. I mean, last year, fun fact, we actually migrated our website like from 2024 to 2025. We migrated our website from, or to Webflow, I can't remember. I think it was WordPress before.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I had just joined, so I wasn't like part of this like legacy content that we were migrating. So we did a little website project, and we actually, fun fact, removed 150 blogs from the Content 2 website.
That's crazy.
150 is insane.
That is an insane number.
But what's even crazier is that the performance and traffic went up like immensely, and I wish I had the figure for you today, but I don't. But follow up, and I will let you know.
We'll put it somewhere.
The main takeaway was that no one missed what was deleted. Like, even though we had this loaded library of content, it wasn't going anywhere. No one was reading it, and it wasn't actually having an impact on the story that we're trying to tell as a business. So in the end, deleting 150 pieces of content was the best decision we ever made. We pruned that content, and then our beautiful garden was able to grow.
Can I just ask?
Yes.
What does pruning have to do with any of this? Like, I mean, I love prunes. I love me a good prune, but...
Okay, first of all, prunes are disgusting. Fun fact about me, I hate any sort of shriveled, dried fruit. Like
we love her anyway.
raisins or prunes. But I'm not talking about the prunes. I'm talking like prune juice. I'm talking about pruning, which is, if you're a gardener, you will know that it's the act of like the selective removal of what's no longer healthy. So I always see it in terms of like you always see it in like rose like people who keep roses. They have to like prune the roses in order to make sure that the rest can grow properly. So you cut away the dead branches so that the plant can focus its energy on the parts that are actually thriving. And in content, it's very much the same thing. You delete the outdated blog or the old report, whatever it is, that you thought was good enough 3 years ago, and admit to yourself finally that now it's not meeting the same standards that it was back then. And if you never prune or you never get rid of that, like cutting off the dead fat, everything is competing for light, you know, everything is competing for attention. And that's what happens when your content library gets bloated. Everything is competing against each other. And now not only are your articles competing against the rest of the internet, all your competitors and everything else, but also your own content. And like we're setting ourselves up for failure. So a lot of us, when traffic dips or drops, there's a shift, something happens. And a lot of us like insist on like, let's just add more. Let's throw more into that garden. But I just want to ask you guys, instead of planting more, instead of just like deciding that output is the goal, we need to take a step back and see like what's already blocking the sunlight, like what's already taking the attention away from the good things that we have on our blog or our, wherever your content lives, and see how we can remove that so that the good things have space to grow and to get all the light that they deserve.
That's so funny because like everybody's first instinct in general, not just when traffic dips, is like more content, more. So actually that's wrong.
Yeah. And it's like not always wrong. I mean, it makes sense because like publishing feels proactive. You're like, okay, I see this. This keyword is now dropped a few positions in Google, for example. I need to write something to make it get back up to the top position. You want like top first page of Google, first 5 ideally. Also, when you create more, you can be like, hey guys, look what we published. It's like visible, it's reportable. It's a lot easier as well to like create something new than to investigate and dive in and see where things are going wrong or what could be improved rather than just something created new from scratch.
It's also kind of performative.
Exactly.
Like a performative male at a cafe reading a classic that he's not actually reading, but he just looks good reading.
Yeah, it's more like that we're optimizing for how things look, that we have this big overgrown garden, but like it's actually killing itself, you know?
Yeah. But why, like for me, the thing that is really hard is that I'm like, why am I supposed to get rid of this beautiful content that I worked so hard for? Like it's kind of, I'm emotionally attached to it now. And like I worked so hard on it. So it's kind of disappointing to just remove it because, well, it's out of date.
Yeah, and it is, like, especially if you care about your work. Like, we're attached to the effort that we put in. Whether you wrote it yourself or you briefed it, edited it, whatever, you defended it, you decided that this was something worth doing at some point. Maybe you weren't. Maybe someone else decided to do this. But if it's your work that you're seeing has to be taken down, it can be kind of like hard for you, you know? Maybe it once did perform well. Maybe it did used to do what it needs to do. And it feels like you're deleting your hard labor, which like no one wants to do that. Then it feels like, what a waste of time. Why did I bother? And like, it also just takes like us admitting that maybe it wasn't that good in the first place or that it's not where we are now. And that can feel like you're attached to your work. If you care about your work, that can feel very personal.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually it's also that whole like sunk cost thing where you've like, I've put all this time and effort and energy into it. Surely we need to just keep it going because otherwise that's all a waste. But actually you're still spending the time and energy on having it there. So there's a lot of like feeling of that, like the activity of doing is safer than like taking away, which is fair because you also don't necessarily always know, is this deleting this going to improve? Like maybe it's not. Maybe you're making it worse. And deleting can feel like shrinking and like...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It feels a bit like a legitimate question to be like, yeah, but doesn't it look better if we have so much content to look through and we look like we have so much more authority because we're talking about so many different things and we have like 100 blogs on our website rather than like 30. It makes like, it feels like it looks worse.
Yeah, because like I think because like in the past, it was all about, okay, you need to create X amount of content in order to build authority in these topics, and SEO requires you to have a really in-depth information on these things for Google to trust you and for people to trust you. But I think in the past, people were confusing volume for value. And again, like we said before, people are just kind of optimizing for how things appear versus how they actually are. Because I have a whole content library with every single possible regurgitated version of this keyword. Like let's say it's content strategy. I have 17 blogs on content strategy in different ways. And you think that you're building up this like awareness, like that Google is trusting you. But in fact, it's saying like, why are you fighting for attention? Why is all your content fighting for attention? And like adding 3 blogs or something makes you feel like I can stand behind that and say, I did something. Like this is, I've done an action. This is great.
It's like tangible things you can see.
Yeah.
And it also feels like it looks good. Like we look so knowledgeable if we have like 10 articles about optimizing your content strategy.
Yeah. And if they're good, then that's a different story. Like it's more, I'm talking about the content that is like lower quality that like anyone could write. Like if you're doing a well-researched article about like content strategy experts weigh in, like what's the biggest secret for 2026? I don't know. Like that's something interesting. But like, what is content strategy? 5 tips for content strategy. Those things like are regurgitated. AI can do that. Like we don't need to be spending our time, money, and resources on that.
Yeah.
But more content does not mean better content. And it doesn't mean that you're going to make an impact. And I have this lovely quote from our girl, Sarah Stella. Shout out.
Icon.
Content needs to be loved and maintained like a beautiful garden.
Yes.
I love that.
Content is our beautiful garden.
Exactly. And you need to give your garden the space to grow. You can't have too much in there. You need to make sure that the layout makes sense and that there's space for the roses to get the light.
Yeah. So let's break it down. Like,
Be serious.
be serious. No, but like, let's break it down on why exactly like deleting content improves your website performance. Because obviously, if you think about it in a logical point of view, it feels counterproductive.
Yeah.
But so why does it improve it?
It's a good one because you think like with SEO, it's like, isn't more better? Like, aren't we just building trust, trust?
We'll pop up on more occasions. We'll be there, top of mind, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. And you think that that's like how it is. But actually things are not as easy as they used to be. Before you could just create X amount of articles with around the same keyword cluster with long tail keywords, whatever. Well researched, well done. Like quality always mattered. But it was kind of a like numbers game. You just want to get as much content out as possible. And now it's just not like that anymore. You have 5 blogs targeting the same idea. They're competing with each other. If your positioning is outdated, so it's not just like the articles or the keywords that you're targeting. It's also like, who are you now versus when those articles were written? Because like those features, let's say if you're in SaaS, like you might have spoken about features that might not even exist anymore.
Yeah.
So like that's confusing to not only the humans who are researching you, but also the algorithm, Google, AI, all of it. Like it needs to be consistent and clear. And if you're not maintaining your content, then that's confusing and it confuses the search engines and it goes, okay, we can't trust you. You don't know what you're talking about. This information is conflicting. Down to the bottom you go. You are not relevant for these people. And like also if your content is mid, like kind of bad, like that, how to this, like generic,
the basic.
Then like you're diluting authority as well because Google before it was like, oh, they know what they're talking about. But then now it's like, oh, they know what they're talking about. But so does everybody else and everyone else is saying the exact same thing. So actually nobody knows what they're talking about. They're all saying the same thing. But if you have something different, something unique, something like relevant, like well-researched insights, for example, doing like a report or thought leadership is the best way to build authority because it's like your own research, like proprietary research, whatever it's called. So like AI cannot say like, that's not true because you are the source.
Yeah, you actually have that data.
Yeah, being the primary source is like the best way. But even that, just having research in your articles is a great way to prove authority because you're leaning on not just me as a writer, but like people like Sarah Stella, putting them in there and saying like experts weigh in. Like that's a great way to build proper authority. And that is something I would say is quality content that will contribute to your authority. But if half of your 150 blogs are all low quality, it doesn't matter about the other half because they're being squished.
Yeah.
Like they can't get access to the light.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's like in the gardens, they're all competing for light. So you got to really leave the light to the ones that you're like, you need to flourish.
You got to remove the weak branches to get the stronger, so the stronger ones can get the light. And letting go of content that you've poured time, energy, resources, you've fought stakeholders over it, you've done the back and forth feedback, drama, like that can feel upsetting and hurtful. And some companies will just let content sit on that shelf and die. And like, but the thing is like, we have to be strategic. We can't just be attached to something. If it doesn't bring results, what is it doing?
Just like in your normal life, you have to let go of some things to make your life better. So to make your content better and your resources, blog page, whatever you call it in your company, you have to let go of some pieces to make the others flourish and to make your content in general have its moment as well.
Yeah. So giving the space and the spotlight to the pieces that deserve it.
So based on this, like actually step-by-step kind of scenario, how do you decide what do we cut, what do we keep?
Yeah, and that's dependent on you and your goals and your brand and like everything you're trying to do. But like for example, from the example that I mentioned earlier, when we migrated our website, we basically audited everything we were doing, all of our content, and then we kind of put it all into an Excel sheet, and then we decided to see which ones are kill, keep, or rewrite. So things that were automatically like, no, this is not who we are anymore. It's too much work to get this to a place that we want it to be. So we're just going to cut those articles. Rewrite if it needs a minimum of like a few hours or like a maximum of a few hours of rewriting. Like I don't want to spend money on like trying to get a bad article good. And then like keep things that are actually at our quality standards. So in the end, we obviously removed about 150 pieces. And our traffic went up. So I would say 3 simple things that you could do is like 1, audit like your top 20 pages and like see if they make sense. Are they aligned with who you are today? Because like we said earlier, if you have conflicting information, outdated information, Google and humans and AI, everybody is like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
So that's something to like first top 20 pages, because it's like, depending on how big your website is, how much you have in there, it might be a lot of work to do this. So start small, 20 pages. Then I would find underperforming pages that like maybe you feel like they should be. And also if they have high intent. So underperforming but high intent, like people who are visiting those pages want to buy, let's say, if that's what you're trying to do. Then I would rewrite it, don't replace it, because it's performing, people are getting there, there's not converting, so you can improve that content.
And that's such a good way to repurpose and
Yes.
also to do a like low lift kind of work.
And that's a good way to look at repurposing is like, okay, it might not be performing, but people are clicking, or underperforming but high intent. Like people are commenting, but maybe it's not doing what we need it to do. Maybe we can repurpose it, reformat it, deliver this content in a different way. That's also a nice thing to do. And then the other thing is consolidate the overlap. There's no doubt that you probably have 5 or 10 articles around the similar content. And I remember our SEO specialist saying that to me when I first joined, like, hey, Penny, I noticed you just wrote this article, but we have one on this. And like, could you shift your article to match? And I actually was like, what? And he kind of informed me about, obviously I knew about cannibalization, but I'm not an SEO expert. So first of all, I should have said that at the beginning. I'm a content marketer, but I'm not an SEO specialist. I'm not an SEO expert. I'm not an AI SEO expert. I'm just a content marketer who has enough knowledge of SEO to be able to do the job. But I rely on experts to give me the insights that I need. I can find them if I want to, if I need to, but that's not my job. I'm very much focused on our content strategy, which SEO, AEO is a big pillar of, but it's not like I'm not the expert on SEO. So I can only speak to like the high level things, but I trust experts when it makes sense. Because if you have a big, more bloated website with a lot more technical problems, like then you need the experts to help you with that. And that's where Content 2 can be really helpful.
Always.
Because I work with experts from our platform, shout out, and they are so helpful because I know enough that consolidating overlap, for example, 5 articles around the same topic, they're all fighting for the light. We need to either combine them together or kill a few of them, like keep the strongest one. But the takeaway is you don't need 100 long form blogs. You need like 30 good ones. That's way better. That's a way better metric. I thought I always had to meet like 10 assets published a month, but like, were those assets doing anything? Was anybody reading them? Was sales using them at all? I don't know. So, and it's way harder to track if you're just doing a numbers game. Like
if you're just publishing to publish.
Yeah. We care way more about like, does anyone use it? Like, how is it being used? And the sort of, is that content velocity when it's like, you make one thing like this podcast episode, but if we then make a blog and then a carousel and then sales gets battle cards and this and this and this and this, that one asset has a lifetime value, you know? Versus one-off projects, which we just don't operate like that anymore. And I think as teams get smaller, like the pressure becomes more and more. We do have to be working in a more strategic way and not just like, oh, I'm just going to write a keyword, an article for this keyword.
And we're all sick and tired of that narrative. I feel like I'm seeing it more and more content marketers being like, no, we are not publishing to publish because it just like there's so much stuff out there that at this point, every time you make a new piece of content, you have to be so strategic and so intentional about it because you're not just going to write, again, how to come up with a content strategy, 10 tips. Like you're going to have to actually do something that you know is valuable to your audience.
Exactly. You have the choice when creating something new now, especially in this new world that we're in where AI generated content is taking over the internet. And like there's a real adverse reaction to that within storytelling, as we mentioned in a previous episode, is like so valuable and so important. And there's like a real like divide in terms of like people who don't care and they're like, okay, we just need to generate content. And then there's people who are like, I care about good quality content and I can stand out in that way. And in the mess of like crappy content, if you can do something that you're proud of, that you like feel like is strategic and well researched and of the quality standards, then that's something worth creating. But like, we don't need to be contributing to AI slop or to more content for the sake of content because we're trying to meet some performance
KPI.
targets. Like, what does that actually do? Are we just trying to create for the sake of creating, to show that we're busy? Like, the goal is not to appear busy. Like, we don't care if you're sitting at the desk all day, look so that I see that you're working. I don't care when you get your work done, because the goal is not for you to be working 9 to 5.
No.
The goal is that you have an impact. And if you need to be flexible in your work, whatever, like you see
The
that same
results
overlap.
are what matter.
Exactly.
So, based on this, like if traffic does drop and you're panicking, spiraling, like what should your team be asking instead of like, how do we publish more?
Good question.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing, which is not something you're going to track, but like I do think it's something that matters, is like pride. Like,
Oh, yes.
are you proud of it? Like, do you like this piece of content? And are you proud of what went into it? Maybe it's not the only thing that matters, of course.
No, but it's one of the, I feel
It
like it's
does
like one of
matter.
the criteria.
Yeah.
Also because us content marketeers, as we're saying, like taste is so important. So we
Yeah.
know what is good. If you're proud of it, it's probably a great piece of content.
Exactly. And maybe it could just need a little bit of extra work to get it to be that strategic asset you want.
Level up.
Exactly.
You know?
But if you're proud of it, I think it's worth keeping. Another thing to question is like, does it still reflect our business? We spoke
Yeah.
a lot about this earlier, but like,
Our goals,
yeah,
you know,
your
like
goals, who you are
does
as
it
a
bring
business.
something to the table
Yeah.
for us?
A lot of us are switching up our propositions in the age of AI because we're like, software tools can be built like that. And now,
Yeah.
you know, everything is moving really fast. And
Everyone's
so positioning
pivoting.
is shifting. Yeah, a lot. And like, that's just the nature of the game, and that's cool and that's fine. But you need to make sure you're maintaining everything so that when you do change your positioning, that you're not confusing the internet and all the people you're trying to target with these conflicting information. So make sure things still reflect your business. Whatever still reflects who you are as a business, keep it. Also look at where you're ranking for the wrong reasons. Sometimes you're ranking for keywords that have nothing to do with you, and you're like, oh, I don't want to.
Wait, what do you mean by ranking for the wrong reasons?
Well, I don't know. That sounds like more like inconspicuous than it is. It's
Yeah.
just like when you write something, maybe it wasn't your goal to target for that specific keyword, but you're getting a lot of traffic for it. And like, yes, a lot of traffic coming to your website, but like for the wrong reasons, for the wrong keywords that like aren't tied to your value proposition at all, or to like your goal as a
Oh,
company.
okay.
Like, and a lot of that old content might be ranking for keywords. So it's hard for you then to be like, well, I don't want to get rid of it because we're showing up on Google for, you know, people search for this. They're still getting to our website. Like, that can't be bad, people on our website. But actually, like, it's the same with like when you get low quality leads that sales has to then sift through. Like, you don't want to waste your time, like, or waste your traffic on people
Waste
that
of
aren't
traffic.
relevant. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's not the end of, like, it's not the end of the world or anything, but those are the things where you want to be like, okay, this doesn't make sense for us. We don't need to be ranking for this. So that's something you want to like remove maybe or rewrite. But then another thing is like that, what can we actually improve instead of creating? So like maybe you have an article that's like similar to what you want to write about, or you need to create something for whatever reason. Have a look at like what's already there and what can you add to, maybe adding an FAQ section, maybe expanding the article, whatever it is, whatever tactic you decide to do. That's, I think, always better to try that before deciding to go and brief a new article, because
Yeah.
there's no need to do that when you have content there already.
Again, we love repurposing.
Exactly. And more isn't always growth. Sometimes growth is focus. So like making sure that you have less, but better, you know?
Mhm. Okay. Well, that's great.
Hmm.
But, you know, Penny, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's confession time. Okay, so actually, this confession comes from a post Penny made about pruning content.
Yes.
And we thought it was actually really interesting to discuss together. So, a spring cleaning win. That's what they said about her post. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
We will share again.
So, it makes me think of the Stephen King writing advice to kill your darlings. Ooh, because what remains will be stronger. I find it hard to convince everyone about deleting old content. Nostalgia for old tactics, stories, and strategies can be strong. Do you have any advice?
First of all, iconic reference. I read
Yes.
Stephen King's On Writing. Was it this year? Maybe
Yeah,
last
it was
year.
this year.
Yeah, and I loved it so much. I really, really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it for any. I also recommended it to you, and you're not even a writer, or like, well, you're a writer, but you know.
I'm not mainly a writer. Like, it's not my thing, writing.
Yeah. But anyway, I really love that book. So shout out, because it's such a good reference. Kill Your Darlings hurts for a reason. And I think anyone who is a content, you don't even have to be a writer. In the same with like design or creation, you're attached to something. Like at one point, that was the best thing you had and you thought it was great. And that's what the phrase is. It's like kill your best things. And to you, it feels like this part of the content or the storyline or whatever it is the rose of the garden. But actually, sometimes you really have to kill those in order for the other things to perform. And that's exactly why it's also very hard, because you're attached to it. They are your darlings for a reason. You're not just throwing away content that isn't good. Like, it's also things that you did believe was good at one point, and it's hard to admit that. So a few things that can help, like, it's good to look at, like, it's hard, but separating the effort and the impact. Because yes, something might have taken 6 weeks to create, and maybe it is, in your opinion, something that should perform. But if it's not, that's something you have to look at. And just because something took time doesn't mean that it's actually making an impact on your strategy or doing what it needs to do. And if it's not doing that, in the bin.
Trash.
Another important thing is, like, again, expectation setting, communication, and being able to, like, communicate the story to the people that you're talking to, because I'm sure to maybe your CEO or whoever is in charge, deleting can sometimes feel like you're erasing your good stuff, erasing history. But it's not. It's redirecting your potential traffic to other places where it would be better matched.
Also, because you don't have to necessarily delete it. You can, like, keep it for later and rewrite it and update it and make it more, relevant to now.
Exactly. And it's like, reframe the whole thing as like an evolution, not like rejection or deleting,
It's a Pokemon evolving into its new version of itself, you know?
We have all the metaphors today.
Yes.
Like, yeah, the blog or whatever you created might have been perfect for 2021, but right now it might actually be a risk for your brand. So it's important to look at things and with, like, a strategic eye, and, like, be, like, kind of severe about it. Like, if it's not making an impact, if it's not communicating who you are now, it's not doing something to build trust with your audience that actually helps your business, it's like just competing for space.
Yeah.
It's competing for light.
Just
and we
be
don't
real.
need that.
Just be real with yourself and be like, okay, we can let go of this.
Yeah.
I did an amazing job and it was great, but its time has come, you know?
Yeah. And another one good thing is, like, use data. Like, use the data to, like, take you out of it. Like, it's hard when you're personally attached to something like a piece of content. But, like, if you're attracting the wrong audience, low intent traffic, or no conversions, that's not an opinion. That's a signal. Like, something needs to change. And, like, we have to be data driven. Like, I fully believe in, obviously, taking, like, the human side of things, comments, people engaging, like, real feedback that I hear from a human. I actually always put that above, like, metrics on a dashboard. But that's just me. We still have to be data driven, and we have to be like scientists, like, okay, this isn't working. We need to do something about it.
Yeah, and the best kind of way of looking at things is through a qualitative and quantitative eye. So, like, you can just take the data that is the qualitative, the great comments and the great feedback, and the actual data, and just come up with your solution together. Like, It doesn't have to be just the data from Google Analytics making the decisions for you.
Yeah. And sometimes maybe someone leaves a comment when you share the blog somewhere else, and they leave a comment that this really helped me, but maybe the traffic isn't reflecting that. And maybe that's the time to compromise and say, maybe we won't kill it, but we will blend it with something else. We'll consolidate it with some other high-performing content. I don't know. But honestly, you don't also have to delete everything at once. Like, the goal here is not just go and delete your website or all your, like, gorgeous content. That's not what we're saying. Please remember that. You want to start with the obvious ones, the things that are just outdated, like, that are not contributing to your goals, like your narrative that you're trying to build. So if it's an outdated positioning, like a blog that's about something that you just don't offer anymore, that just is no-brainer.
Makes no sense.
Get rid of it.
Okay.
Any topics you don't want to be known for anymore, like before maybe you would have had a broader strategy, now you really want to be known for this niche, delete, get rid, remove. Once you do, you will be so like relieved to see when performance actually goes up, because it just doesn't feel like it should. But I can guarantee that if you get rid of low quality content, your traffic, like, has to go up. Like, it has to.
It will.
But yeah, it's not to be minimal. Like, the goal is not like, oh, you don't need to publish content. Like, you still have goals. You still have, like, topics you want to talk about. And the blog is not dead. I don't believe it is. I feel like it's still really important to have on your website to build authority and build trust and to educate on those complex topics, if they are complex. But the goal isn't minimalism for the sake of it. Like, you don't want to say, oh, we don't do that because actually we're trying to, like, like you refine your content strategy based on your goals. And for me, I used to think we had to achieve like 5 blogs per month or whatever. And now I'm like, one really well-researched article is like enough for me. I would like to ramp that up based on time, but only when I can make sure that the guardrails are in place so that it's still really high quality and we can still reach those output goals if needed.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Good. I love
I hope
this.
that helps.
I feel like this helped me a lot. Probably also you guys, if you also don't have a lot of knowledge about, all of the maintenance that is behind your beautiful websites.
Yeah.
So what did we learn today? Spring is not about just going and planting stuff everywhere. It's about deciding what actually deserves space in my beautiful little garden.
Exactly. And like one comparison I made in this post that I made last year, which inspired this episode, repurposing, was that I made the comparison of like, are you painting the roses red? Like, are you trying to make something work that isn't working? Like, don't do that. You need to look at what needs to be cut away and leave the space for the good stuff to get the light.
Yes.
So yeah, I hope this helps.
Hope you learned something with us today, and also that you had a good laugh or smiled,
Yes.
That's the minimum we want.
Just remember, before you publish something new, see if there's something else that needs attention. Like, it's hard. We all want to create, but just take a step back and see if there's something you can already improve on your website, and you will thank me later.
And make your life easier, bro. Like,
Bro.
It's great advice. Okay, if you ask me.
But thank you for ranting with us.
We love it. XOXO.
Close down Slack. You've done enough for today.
Drink some water.
Please. And
enough caffeine.
Before you publish, think.
Yes.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Like, subscribe, be our friend.
Mwah, mwah.
Ciao.